Welcome back. We're ushering ourselves into 2026 properly now, the Long and Thick podcast where we help you navigate the noise and cut through the bullshit in the health and wellness space, now active in 2026. Ronnie, how the hell are you?
Bada boom, bada bing. We're fucking here.
We're fucking here, dog.
All is well. I'm doing well. I wrote a little note to myself to shout out Tilly because I'm going to keep shouting out Tilly and maybe add some tags.
The dog? Is this we're talking about the dog?
Still talking. All right. And I brought this. Viewers who look at, this is my sticker of Tilly. All of you who are just listening, you're missing out. And
yeah, this little pup's got a long back.
That's right. And an update, things will get better. We got fancier, better cameras. We got a better rig. We got shit rocking and rolling. So you're going to want to start to watch more. But Tilly, I hope you're good in this new year. And then everybody else, I also hope you're good.
Yeah. Second fiddle to this crazy little gremlin. But I hope you all, the greater populace, also have a fantastic new year.
Just kidding. Even playing field. Yeah.
It's still saying something.
Look, I am who I am. Everybody here knows at this point.
I ain't here to king shame, my dog.
That's right. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. Busy start to the year. A lot of clientele is coming back from their travel, their vacations, their family time. So the schedule is getting thick. Mm-hmm. But everything's good. It's when we released our last episode while it came out on the first of the year. This is our first actual recording in 2026. So that's exciting. We are on the front line, the battlefield of resolution season, if you will. And we're going to talk about that today. All things resolutions and simplifying systems to ensure or help you have the best possible outcome and chances of getting your damn goals for once.
Yes, please. And thank you, with some sugar on top. Maybe hold the sugar if that's part of your
just
New
a little bit of Tilly, a little Tilly fur instead.
There you go. That's my cup of Joe right there. So we'll dive into just in the honoring of keeping things simple, 3 ways that are going to help your resolution stick. Before we do that, are you much of a resolution person, or have you ever really been?
I haven't categorically and historically. However, this year I've put some things in motion. I've written some things down. I've already started down the path of a couple resolutions already. So yeah, I would say now more than recent history, I've been more on the bandwagon of resolutions. So how about you?
Nice. Yeah, I think I waver a bit. There's definitely been years where I've felt much more compelled to super fucking overhaul, the empty the pantry, start everything over, do way too much at once, and then fuck it all up in a month and a half. And so I've definitely had my fair share of experiences like that, which I think anybody who has felt, compelled to change come January 1 has experienced. But this year in particular, I feel a bit more intrigued by sort of honoring the resolution that comes with the spring, if you will, and the new life, as opposed to, the winter bleakness. But that's just me. But for anybody who is kicking off some big resolution things, will you, kind sir, take us down the pathway of beginning success? What would you say is, in terms of the hierarchy of items that we're going to, dish through, what is number one that if you don't even start here, you're sort of fucked to begin with?
Yeah, you have to have a particular specific burning desire. And that, what I mean by that is you need specificity. You can start moving in a direction, but your momentum is going to run out really quickly. Whereas you need to find something that even if it's not all the way there, if your broader idea is truly broad, still get something that is a month away from now or springtime to get you there. Do you need a focused direction, and you need to put something empirical and specific on it, not just like, I want to get fitter. That doesn't mean anything. That's so subjective, and in a vacuum, it's just static. But if you say, I want to be able to walk 10,000 steps a day, or I want to be able to eat healthier and lose 20 pounds in this many months, it needs to be that. It needs to be that specific. And you also need to have a burning desire. Not that idle curiosities can't be serviced and it cannot help you, and that can at least get you started. But if you only have a broad curiosity on like, that could be cool, that shit is not lasting. Sorry. So main thing is specificity, and it has to be an actual desire of yours for it to really stick.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest pitfalls that people fall into, and I notice this especially I've been this year much more intentional about really curbing a lot of like social media exposure, unless I'm going to like go in with a purpose. And so I got one of those brick devices that like bricks your phone, right, and sort of blocks you. That being said, the things that, get marketed the most to people are always going to be like, this is your year to lose weight, get out of debt, become healthier. And what else is there really in terms of New Year's things that are like really pumped in your face? I can't really think of anything else that's.
Yeah, it's going to appease your. It's going to attack an emotion, and it's usually centered around shame of your body, shame of your financial situation, shame of your standing in life, unfortunately. And it's thinly veiled. It's guised for sure. It's not like, hey, you broke piece of shit, you're overweight. This is how you make money. This is how you lose weight. But it's just like, oh, are you feeling a little softer on the midsection? But 2026, you can do this. Here is this, yada, yada, yada. Or, a SoFi loan for your student debt kind of thing. It is appeasing the guilt and shame around your current standing to make you buy something else or a service, which is fair play, but so much more can get done pro bono and with next to no dollar invested, generally, just by keeping your goals actionable, specific, and unique to you. And sometimes, they do cost money, but a lot of the times the first steps can be done free.
Yeah, I think, and just sharing this more from my own, personal, on the 7th, here we are talking about this. I haven't really actively fleshed out like, I want to attain this, or I want this thing to happen. I've found that personally, I more naturally do that like quarterly anyway, like in terms of my sort of like resolution check-ins and course corrections, which is just my own way to manage staying on course with things that I want to, strive towards. So if you find yourself listening and you're like, yeah, fuck, I didn't really make any resolutions, which in talking to patients and clients throughout the very short week thus far, just a natural conversation is like, so, it's the same rinse and repeat. How was your holidays? What's the new year? What are you going to do? Blah, blah, blah. A lot of folks are like, I'm just like letting myself exist, which I think is also pretty rad. And not putting so much emphasis and weight on changing things so drastically. But if you do still want to, do something, like you didn't like fuck up and miss it. And because it's the 7th, like
now, tomorrow, the next day. And like, I think to your point and their point too, they might not just be saying it in such explicit language, but we're in strange times, man. Things don't make sense. And there are so many things changing around us for us. Not usually by us. And I think most people just have whiplash and are just shell shocked. So like, how about we just take a year where we're just chill and we will just see what happens. And I'm not going to be betting on things that with such an unknown future kind of thing, because things have been just strange and grim, not to be too morose about it. But some of the things I know people, depending on philosophy, political alignment. I know some people just have the last year has been probably harder than any other year in recent memory for some people. So I think some people just might be like, yo, dude, like, let's just get through the next one and we'll see.
Yeah. Or the day, right? Like, and so that's okay too. But just, bringing it back to some reminder on the tangible things that will help you with your goal, desired outcome is going to kick off with making sure it is meaningful to you. So, not just the arbitrary things that everybody says and we'll pat you on the back for being like, oh, good for you. You're going to,
richer, fitter, more traveled.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And like, okay, cool. Yeah. Big pillars for sure. But like, what is actually going on like within you? Do you want to learn how to fucking make pottery, or like, is that your thing? Because that's totally valid too. But it does need to have something that is very quantifiable to it. Otherwise you have no way to track if you're on progress, and therefore you'll just be like, oh yeah, I just sort of fell off. And like, I need to get back to that. I need to like get back to that. Like there should be learning how to make a bowl by month 3 or whatever sort of stages there are. Like you need to start to flesh that out. And so, I think we're going to beat a dead horse if we keep, sharing about that. But, prior to, hitting record, we were talking about a few of these things, and the next one I for sure want you to share because the way that you had voiced it in particular, I think is something I've heard similar expressions of, but the way you put it has some good punch to it. So would you be so kind?
Absolutely. Point 2 on getting your goal or resolution to stick. 1, he said, making it meaningful, and it has to be something that you have a desire for. So you need to have an emotional connection with both the pursuit, the start, and the outcome. So huge. And number 2 can come, I find the easiest way, one of 2 things is, 1, just make the first step as simple and minute as possible. Just get the first step going. Don't think about the fully realized thing or all the extra habits that you might have to rearrange. Start with the smallest one. And in doing that and starting with the smallest one is finding an anchor during your day that you can attach it to. Because when you just have some new thing, most people's schedules are filled packed to capacity anyway, or so it feels like. So if you have this new thing, like, well, where the hell does this go? Well, you can see what kind of behavior you need for that goal and just attach it to the next closest thing in your day. So whether it be you're going to read 5 pages while you brew coffee, or if you want to read more for the day, or anything. If you want to move more, like attach it to a tent pole activity that you already have blocked out in your schedule and just make that stick and make one thing stick. And if you can make that stick for a couple of weeks, then add your other thing. And that's my take on that. Just keep it attached to something that you already are doing, because if you're just trying to manifest new time, probably doesn't work as well as you would if you just kind of make it adjacent to something that you already have scheduled.
Yeah. Beautiful. So I think you said it very clearly, but just to give more examples of things that at least came to mind as you were walking us through that, like somebody who wants to start exercising again for the first time, more, whatever it is, you should start with something horrifically simple, right? The biggest obstacles become, I need to make sure that like my plan is like perfect, like that, like my routine is going to be like really, really perfect. Like I need, like, should I do 2 days or like 5, or like, how much should I split this and that? Like, nope, already fucked. Like you're already.
Just do it. Just start. Ugly action beats perfect planning every single time.
Yep. Fucking, that is textbook. So you just need to begin, and then you'll figure out the polishing after you've started. If you take the garbage out every day and there's a stop sign at the end of your block and you want to walk more, your thing is when you take the trash out, you're going to walk to the sign and back. And if you get to the sign and say, man, that was fucking easy, I'm just going to go to the next one. Oh, cool. And then maybe you do 3 signs worth instead, right? Like, and even if you just did the one, you still win. Like you still began.
Yeah. And you just took a 30-second stroll and you made it 2 minutes, but you got closer to your goal. And that's all that matters.
100%. So yeah, I think that can't be stressed enough. Take things that you already do, add these in. I will say the one almost like caveat that comes to mind as I hear people's objections is the, oh, well, I don't have time for that. And the reality check is going to come in 2 ways, either, especially when it comes to your health. One will be you start to make time for your health, or the flip side of the coin, that nasty hairy sack is going to be your fucking time is.
I wish people knew the reference. We're gonna gatekeep that one a little bit, but
yeah, that's just for us. The other half is your health will forcibly make time for you to manage it, and you do not want to be in that position where
you want it on your terms, not on the rock bottom terms that your body gives you. And like, here you go, deal with it now.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I think
those two things.
Sorry, go ahead. You go ahead.
I was going to say those 2 things are plenty punch. But yeah, what was your thought?
I mean, just to wrap that one in a bow is sometimes people don't quite realize this, but you soon do, that any change under any circumstance requires sacrifice. More often than not, it's time. And another one that people love to do, not only time, is something that might be location based. Well, it's like, well, I'm not going to be over there. I can't do that. It's like, you can find a way to change the route. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Or again, make it similar to if you have an errand. If you can't do it every week, you have an errand that's probably going to get close to that. And where there's a will, there's a way.
Here's a little spin-off thought that's coming to mind, and something that I've been thinking about as I contemplate my own struggles just as a human being with changing stuff. And believe it or not, both Daniel and I are not perfect, ironed out human beings.
Absolutely not.
So don't let the authority behind your earbuds let you believe otherwise. We're talking as equals here. But I've been really. Have you ever heard of the Daily Stoic?
Mm-mm.
So it's a book, and it's a 365 page, give or take, book. You go through a day of the year with a little excerpt. All about stoicism and just different, aspects of philosophy, which I've always found to be pretty awesome. My dad was always pretty big into that stuff and always quoted a lot of, those things to me growing up. But in exploring that stuff and questioning my own lack of follow through with things either big or small, it's funny to me how my willingness to keep up with something is stronger if it's on somebody else's behalf than it is for myself. So like if you told me be on at 8:30, I would be on at 8:30. But if it was just up to me, I'm down to like give wiggle room or whatever, right? Or like, you name the scenario. Hey, can you be at this place? Hey, can you come to this event? Hey, can you help me with X? Sure, I'll do this thing I don't want to do. But if it comes to my own, follow through of that, it's so natural for us as people to like not do it. And the shitty thing is, to be honest, it is actually a bigger reflection of how much you value yourself. And your lack thereof of self-value, because it's like you're down to break promises to yourself because you're the only one it impacts, and so you don't think it's a big deal. And yet you still show up for other people. Like, you need to flip that on its head and create those boundaries where you do prioritize yourself in a way that is not like shitty and toxic and recluses you. But I think that reframe could be helpful for some listeners and myself as I'm just talking through it. Like, I think most people can relate to that. And it's just been striking me more like, why am I punishing myself for this thing when I wouldn't do that to somebody else, but I do it to myself? Like, this is so bizarre. It's such a bizarre behavior.
Yeah, no, I can agree though. It's a very poignant thing, but it's very real, where everyone often shortchanges their own urgency, which I think some of it comes down to perhaps thinking that you might not just be deserving enough, or is this too lofty of a goal, or could there be like imposter syndrome? Is there time better served in something that people might not think as poorly, which is an inflation in your own head. Anyone in your camp is not going to give you, unless you're doing something real weird, but hey, no judgment. But whatever your pursuit is, if you go to your people, your friends, your family, your loved one, like, hey, this is important, I really want to do this, they're going to have your back and most likely say, hey, how can we support that? How can we make that more of an attainable goal for you?
Yeah.
Rather than internalizing it, like you say, and then shortchanging your own urgency. And you're like, oh, well, it's not that big a deal. It's only this goal or resolution. But then, like you said, too, someone's like, hey, can you help me do this thing on this exact date? And you're like, I will never be late to that ever.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So just a reminder, like, treat yourself with that same type of attitude that you would the people that you love the most, because hopefully they're doing that for you. And, like any other thing in life, you will progressively get better at it, and you're going to get it wrong. You're going to fuck it up. You're going to, overlook yourself or miss your friend's move thing or whatever. But like the reps in and the movement is still better than the perfection. And so, yeah, take that one to the fucking grave.
Yeah. That's some real shit, man. That's some good ass advice.
Hell yeah. Last one we have here, just keeping things pretty simple. And we do have some fun upcoming episodes where we're going to talk about simplicity and some of the potency and power that lies within simplicity, to add just a little bit more oomph to some of the things we're talking about here. Is have fun with what your resolution is, with what your goal is. That seems, I think, obvious if you followed step one, right? Like, I have been enjoying practicing Japanese, and sometimes it makes me feel like a fucking babbling idiot. But the other side, yet again, of our delightful inside joke of the fuzzy sack is on the side of, the opposite side of that enjoyment is like suffering, and you need to be able to face both. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it just comes down to, you cannot have change without sacrifice. Something's going to give. Whatever comfort you're going to suspend to make it worthwhile and possible for you to get this next step. You need to be able to enjoy where you're going. And we've talked about this at length too. You really need to be able to enjoy the journey. The small steps, the slightly larger steps, the stride along the way. Don't even really busy yourself. It's great to set the goal of, I need to be here, but there's also the arrival paradox too, that as soon as you have what you want, you're not going to be nearly as fulfilled as you were in pursuing that end. So that is a bit of an oxymoron, I guess, or a contradiction to what we're talking about. But one, have very specific goals. Enjoy the process, know that you're going to suffer along the way, but know that there's something special in the suffering as well. And I can tell you for absolute certainty that, so last year, it's crazy to say that now, but with the strength show, I got so much more, not that I was not completely fulfilled day of, but after it was done, after the dust settled, and we're like, oh my God, we pulled that off. That was great. There was just an emptiness. I didn't know what to do because so much of my days were spent organizing things, getting things set up and built and all of this. And it's finding goals that keep you in motion long enough to let you really understand that, oh, the journey's worth it. Much like fitness is for me. I have some goals still left in life for lifting, but I just enjoy the process now, and finding that's the best part I would say about what goals can offer you is not the end result. The end result is always great, but it's learning new processes and new habits along the way. And that's the real pot of gold along the way. It's not where you're ending up. It's how your character changes and how your resolve and how you decision make along the way and adapt to new challenges in the pursuit of that thing rather than what that actual thing is exactly. If that makes sense. That's a bit of a word salad, but
no, I think, like you're reading my mind. I was, if you didn't say it, I was going to ask you about that arrival fallacy and use, funny enough, the exact example of what you explained with the dopamine getting fucking vacuum sucked into space, like night of it being over and being like, oh shit, now what? Like now I have nothing because I was on level 10 and crushing my own expectations and following through with the things and making things happen. You like lose that. And there's going to be goals that you have in your life that will feel that way and require that intense hyper burst. Academically, it's like getting your dissertation done or your thesis or whatever big thing. And then why do people always say, who have fucking PhDs, like, oh, I might go back to school? Well, because it is a forced, perpetual waiting. The next test, the next test, the next class, the next course. And then when you're done, you're sort of like, now what? Like,
yeah, you're institutionalized to the process a bit.
For sure. And I think the one thing I want to ask you and have people think about is like, what do you do when you blow it? Like how do you bounce back? What's the attitude? What's the reframe and course adjustment when you've like fucked it up?
Well, I think that's for sure going to be a case by case basis. Some people are so good at compartmentalizing, pulling themselves up by their bootstraps and being like, well, time to just see. I mean, some people are so good. I myself would brood a bit, just straight up. If I really like missed the mark on something that I was going for and had something just absolutely tank, I would love to say that next day I would be like, oh, well, no, I have time to kind of pull it all back together, immediately into rebuilding mode. But no, that shit would haunt me for a little bit for sure. And I think everybody's different. And
yeah,
I think most people would they'd have to, we're getting into deeper psychological territory now, but I think at that point, everyone would have to grieve and mourn that loss in a way a little differently. Some people might just lily pad through that and be like, okay, that sucks, but that's life. And other people would really, and that should be, nothing as say for you. I hope this never happens to anybody. I'm not even going to say it, but something grievous against another soul, perhaps by accident. If it's not that bad, then yeah, you should be able to just shrug it off. But it's easier said than done. That's a hard won battle internally, psychologically. If you had all this built up in your brain, it should be, okay, that sucks. We learned from that. That didn't work. Time to keep going and fail again. But if you blow something, you probably have to find your own grieving process. And for me, it would definitely rattle me for at least a couple of days, just being real.
Yeah, I think that's a great, flesh out of how individualized that process is. I think the question came to mind because as we're talking about the almost bullshit of a resolution, it really is just another means of getting you to have a more fulfilling life in that you are enjoying the process. The accolade's cool, the medal's great, the letters by your name, the raise, the bonus, the thing, but it's not enough because it is just a fucking fleeting moment in time. And that should remind you that when you do fuck something up that you are going after, like, you need to bird's eye a bit and remember that the goal, the accomplishment, the change was actually really never the full point. Outside of like what you said, you know, something horrible like someone's life being lost, but you know, it's just I think a important thing to call out that like you're gonna miss it, and that's okay in some way, shape, or form. But remember that the whole purpose is exercising your ability to enjoy the fact that you are in the process of something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, always the motion
of the ocean.
Motion of the ocean, baby. So bringing this back down to, I really enjoyed. I don't think we necessarily thought we were going to, when we started this episode, that probably wasn't where we imagined this going, but I'm happy that we did. It was a much more depthy, real unfolding of that subject. However, bringing it back down to our level, a little more enjoyment, a little more real and unique to us. While you did make mention that it's somewhat bullshit in nature, I'm sure you have something to resolve this year. So what are the resolutions that you've put forth so far for 2026?
Yeah. One of them is for sure like the social media purifying. When I was in Brazil for a few months, I used my phone 2 times. Once when it was about a month into being there. Well, we'll call it 3. Once when I like landed and was like, hello, people that need to know I'm alive. Goodbye. Another time, like in a month from then, being like, hello, people who I told a month ago I'm alive. I'm still alive.
Still alive. Bye.
That same day, I was in like proper Rio and was taking some pictures. So I used my phone for that. I bring all this stuff up because when I came back to the States from that time, I remember like distinctly feeling very jarred by like playing video games, looking at social media, watching TV, watching YouTube videos, and not in like a way that's like, oh my God, my like soul and my brain are like so bad, but more like, holy shit, I could never really appreciate how intense this was for my system to like deal with and how dulling it was to everything else until I really stripped it back. And I'm talking about for several months. Being in like the fucking jungle, basically. And coming back to that and thinking about that as I've started this year by, like I said, using the brick to just like have that forced pause. I feel really fortunate that when I see the thumb motion of like, oh, let me just open the shit up because I happen to pick up my phone and we just have those patterns built in. After one of them and I see the little gray icon, I don't even like try again. Mm-hmm. I don't care anymore. I'm not like, oh fuck, like what about the DM? Like I don't fucking care. And in that, just in the last week alone, I've just genuinely felt much more appreciative of being able to like sit and be present. If I'm waiting for the food that I ordered to come out, I don't have anything to fuck around with. And if I do, the habit that I want to replace it with is like opening up my flashcards to like practice Japanese or do something that feels like, oh, this is actually, you know, getting me towards stuff that I want. So one thing is maintaining that good balance and respect, I think, for what is arguably the most addictive machine that has ever been concocted in human history. And then the other piece is, continuing with my Japanese studies and making sure that I don't be a bitch. What you got on your docket so far? I know a handful of things from our coffee rendezvous, but nobody else does.
So the smallest one that it did start, we're violating our own, or I'm violating our advice. with something that was just fully broad, but it did coalesce into what I ultimately want it to be. But getting up in my years, being more health and heart conscious, we've talked about it and entertained different things. But right after the turn of the year, I was like, you know what? I am going to start running. Maybe not a ton, but just something to change it up a bit. So I've done that. I've had a couple sessions so far, very, very small, ordered little things. But my goal is by March, I would like to basically be able to just get outside and 5K it comfortably, no matter what.
Nice. Love that.
So that is my tent pole goal for what the running will be. I don't have a idea of what I want my true mileage to be. I'm not really that worried about it. I'm just getting started. I mean, I haven't actually run in 10 years. Mm-hmm. So it's a new venture. Yeah. Second, resolution is my goal is by fall. I would love to do it before that. No promises, but I am going to make a coffee table photo book of some sort of the film photography that I've done. So I've already got some feelers out on how to do it. I think maybe the time is generous to say by fall, but I think that just it makes it realistic that it is this year without putting too much pressure like I've been prone to do on myself.
Mm-hmm. Like, I'm going to give myself 48 hours and it's going to be perfect.
Yeah, correct. So it's, I'm trying to figure out, I would love to almost do a half photo, half diary recanting of our Japan trip. Just don't know how to necessarily do that yet. Or just here's Japan on film, take it or leave it kind of thing. We'll see. And then finally, what was another resolution of mine? Reading and writing more. And again, that does not, again, I violate the premise, but that's just at least much like you're trying to change what might be distracting you for no real mental life or soul benefit. Getting that out and bringing more stuff that actually enriches you or lets your mind and your soul flourish a bit more. So that also is a resolution of mine. I definitely want to pare back the reliance on social media. I'm a bit locked into it just for some of my work and obligatory stuff.
For sure.
But it does not need to monopolize even the several hours that it does, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think the easy thing to, like I said, with the, coming back from Brazil, like, oh, wow, the harshness of all of these things. It's also like a lot of people's living, and I do enjoy it. And it's enjoyable because it's made to be. And I love when you, Devo, whoever sends me something funny and stupid, like that's a great little just like laugh. But I want to appreciate those things more and come into it with more intention. So I think, don't think, your tech is inherently evil. It's a tool like anything else. It is literally nothing. It is what you make it. And so, for the people who are like, well, you don't understand, I need to be on it. No, I do. Like, I should probably utilize it like you are a little bit more as well, but I just am not in that spot. And so
I think it's honestly better. It's probably better for you in the long run. Do you have any physical goals for 2026?
I think my physical goals are to really truly get out of my own way and just change absolutely nothing about what I'm doing exercise wise for the year. And I've done that so far. I'm just like, I'm going to just be so plain Jane, fundamental. I still have things sprinkled in that I enjoy, but my tendency is to hyperanalyze, get overexcited about some new explorative piece. And maybe I'll find ways to add that in. But what I know will stay tried and true is just the simplicity, right? And so my goals are just progressive overload. There's no other, I'm not putting numbers in terms of hit 315 on this or whatever by this point. I just need to see that from the beginning of now till the end of December, there is a clear, nice upward right trend, which I know is going to happen. So, one little quick thought on your coffee book thing and the handshake of diary notes. What might be pretty sick is having different photos. Either it's just a few pictures and then one that like really speaks to you, and it could capture like that day, and a snippet of the recapture of the diary in a little nugget. And then, you know, you get to share what pieces you want. Maybe you should open it up for a vote. What is the structure of my book? So it's out of your hands.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Just give the people what they want, or whoever wants to sabotage me what they want. You know,
I want
my
pictures
ops out there. My fucking ops.
That's right. Let me get feet pics, page 1, feet pics, page 2.
I'm trying to think if I can even find a foot in any of those photos. To be honest, I
we couldn't bring the camera into the bathhouse, so
it's true. Oh my god! back to the ball sack reference.
Yeah, Freud, if you're listening, I'm all good, brother. I'm just a silly Tilly lover. Just leave me alone.
Well, I guess we can probably wrap it up with resolutions that we have for direction for this year.
Yeah,
we will diversify the platform a bit. We will enjoy the company of guests in person, not necessarily on this platform. Not that this has not served us well and helps bridge the gap with long distances, but I'm very excited to be able to sit down with people in person and riff that way. But also to just expand it with a little bit more free-natured stuff. Not that the core principle is not going to be making your mind, your body better along the way, but showing a little bit more of outside of just this or the studio stuff that we record in, but being able to show more of our hobbies outside in the real world in podcast style fashion, as well as just enjoying odds and ends, games, challenges, things like that. I think we got some cool stuff in the pipeline. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, definitely excited. I think, it is the natural expression of sharing more, right? And realistically, all those things do contribute to a happier and healthier life. And all you fuckers listening will enjoy much more of us teaching you how to brew some coffee or, you know, meal prep or whatever it may be, that we decide to grace you with so kindly. But, yeah, I'm excited for that. I think it adds a new, you know, dimension and layer of long and thick flavor. So there's definitely some fun things that we've brainstormed coming out in the near future.
Hell yeah.
Any other closing thoughts for our fabulous listeners? Sorry if I called you all
I think
fuckers,
we can just basically summarize it and reconfirm that your resolutions, they're never going to be invalid, even if you try to invalidate them yourself. And give it something that you're going to enjoy. Make it something that is actually close to your heart, that you actually want and actually will see yourself moving toward. Make it incredibly simple, and we'll cover more on simplicity in the future. Make it simple, make it actionable. Anchor it to something that you can already have time set aside for. Make it measurable. Give yourself something empirical that you can track your progress toward. And yeah, just be kind to yourself and enjoy the process. That's all we got.
Enjoy the process indeed. Thanks for listening, folks. Until next time, we love you. Toodaloo.
Bye bye.